Hello everyone, Patricius Juwandono here. Today's topic is mari kita belajar korupsi. Loh, kok disuruh belajar korupsi? Nggak salah toh Pak? Ya, tadi kan terlalu cepat. Coba diulang lagi. Bagian yang tadi diulang lagi dengan lebih pelan. Maka kan bunyinya akan terdengar, mari kita belajar mencegah korupsi. Ya, okay. So today's topic is about fighting against corruption. Berjuang untuk melawan atau mencegah korupsi. So, what do you know about corruption? Of course, we know that corruption is bad. Yeah, Indonesia is famous for its corruption. Wow, that's bad. Ya, itu reputasi yang buruk harus kita hilangkan bersama-sama tentunya ya. Jangan sampai kita dianggap dunia sebagai salah satu negara terkorup di dunia. Not good, not good. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to present you a text, and then I'm going to read it aloud. Saya akan membacanya dengan keras. I'm going to explain some important words. Saya akan menjelaskan kata-kata yang penting. And then you note them down. Anda catat artinya. Pay attention to my pronunciation. Anda bisa memperhatikan cara bagaimana saya mengucapkan kata demi kata di teks itu. And finally, you will answer some comprehension questions. Kemudian Anda akan menjawab beberapa pertanyaan bacaan. Okay, now let's go to my presentation. Okay, people, so this is the topic for today, fighting against corruption. Okay, let me read this aloud, and then you just follow my reading and pay attention to the new words that I will explain to you. Marie Chenet, Senior Research Coordinator at Transparency International, looks at the countries that are ranked highest in the 2011 Corruption Perceptions Index. Ranked highest artinya yang menempati ranking tertinggi. New Zealand, Denmark, Finland, and Sweden have been consistently ranked at the top of the Corruption Perceptions Index and are perceived to be the least corrupt of all the countries surveyed. Are perceived artinya dianggap. Ya, are perceived. Perceived itu menganggap. Are perceived menjadi pasif, dianggap. Least corrupt yang paling tidak korup. Least artinya paling tidak. Ya, paling tidak korup, paling bersih. They are not perfect, still falling short of the target 10 out of 10 on the index. But many still want to know about how these countries have managed to contain corruption. Ya, di sini falling short artinya tidak bisa mencapai targetnya. Kemudian manage to artinya berhasil, contain mengendalikan. Jadi berhasil mengendalikan korupsi. Okay? Besides law enforcement, there is a broad consensus that fighting corruption involves public participation and transparency mechanisms such as disclosure of information. Law enforcement, law hukum, enforcement penegakan, jadi penegakan hukum. And then disclosure, pengungkapan informasi, disclosure of information. Preliminary findings from upcoming country studies for Finland, Denmark, and Sweden indicate that this integrity system functions relatively well in these countries. But what makes their national integrity systems more effective? Besides a strong commitment to anti-corruption by political leaders, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and to a certain extent New Zealand all share a common set of characteristics that are typically correlated with lower levels of corruption. Share a common set of characteristics artinya mempunyai beberapa karakteristik yang sama. Ya. Perhatikan share a common things itu maksudnya dalam beberapa hal sama, mempunyai kemiripan dalam beberapa hal atau kesamaan dalam beberapa hal. Recent studies show that freedom of the press is positively correlated with control of corruption in well-established democracies. Finland, Denmark, Sweden, and New Zealand all have high GDP per capita, low inequality rates, literacy rates close to 100%, and prioritize human rights issues. For example, gender equality, freedom of information. Tahu ya, prioritize artinya memprioritaskan. Crucially, they all perform well in terms of government openness and effectiveness. For regional perspectives on the CPI 2011 results, see here. So we have Europe, Central Asia, Americas, Sub-Saharan Africa, Asia Pacific, Middle East, and North Africa. This does not fully explain the good performance in fighting corruption. 100 years ago, before their transition to good governance, Denmark and Sweden were not the darlings of the anti-corruption world. For example, the Swedish principle of public access to official documents is one of the oldest established in the world, dates back to 1766. Establish artinya didirikan atau ditetapkan. Ya, didirikan atau ditetapkan. Well-performing countries typically have a long tradition of government openness, civic activism, and social trust, with strong transparency and accountability mechanism in place, allowing citizens to monitor their politicians and hold them accountable for their actions and decisions. Wow, kalimatnya panjang sekali ya. Oke, well-performing artinya yang berprestasi bagus. Jadi negara-negara yang berprestasi bagus dalam hal penanganan atau pencegahan korupsi. Civic activism artinya aktivitas masyarakat sipil, aktivitas masyarakat sipil, social trust, kepercayaan sosial, strong transparency, you know that, accountability is pertanggungjawaban. Hold them accountable artinya membuat mereka bertanggung jawab. Jadi accountability artinya kemampuan untuk bertanggung jawab ya, accountability. Hold them accountable artinya membuat mereka bisa mempertanggungjawabkan tindakannya. Ya. So, what works? Disclosure of budget information closes the door to waste and misappropriation of public funds. Disclosure, masih ingat tadi artinya pengungkapan. Misappropriation artinya penyalahgunaan. Kalau kalian tahu kata appropriate artinya tepat, mis itu artinya tidak. Ya, jadi penyalahgunaan dari dana publik, penggunaan yang tidak tepat. Ya. Therefore, countries should seek to promote information disclosure as well as enhance citizens' participation throughout the budget process. Enhance artinya menyempurnakan, meningkatkan kualitas sesuatu. The Open Budget Index shows that Sweden allows citizens to assess how their government is managing public funds. Allows artinya mengizinkan, memungkinkan seseorang untuk melakukan sesuatu. Allows, ya, mengizinkan. Codes of conduct for public servants. Codes of conduct artinya, codes artinya aturan, conduct artinya tingkah laku. Jadi aturan yang mengatur tingkah laku. For public servants, pegawai negeri, public servants. Ya. Kalau sekarang di sini namanya ASN, aparatur sipil nasional. Ya. Denmark obliges ministers to monthly publish information on their spending, travel, and gifts. Obliges, mengharuskan. Okay. Legal framework criminalizing a wide range of corruption-related abuses and an independent and efficient judiciary. Corruption-related abuses, penyalahgunaan yang berhubungan dengan korupsi. corruption-related abuses. Yeah. Okay. The good news is that many countries can copy the transparency or accountability route to good governance. A recent study looking at the Finnish case concludes that, contrary to the Singapore's top-down approach to anti-corruption, which is economically unsustainable for most countries, this bottom-up model based on public trust, transparency, and social capital is affordable, transferable, and adaptable to very different political contexts. Finnish artinya orang Finlandia, unsustainable, tidak bisa bertahan dalam jangka lama. Sustainable itu artinya bisa bertahan, bisa survive dalam jangka waktu yang lama. Itu artinya tidak, jadi tidak bisa bertahan lama. Ya. Affordable, bisa dicapai, bisa dibayar. Affordable. Yeah. Okay. It is important to point out that these countries still face challenges, namely protective legislation for whistleblowers, corruption risk in public procurement, effective political party finance regulation, etc. Ya, procurement di sini penyediaan. Ya. Okay, so that's the text and some important words. Now we go on to the comprehension questions. Sekarang kita lanjut ke pertanyaan bacaannya. Read back the text, baca lagi teksnya, so that you can answer the questions, sehingga Anda bisa menjawab pertanyaan-pertanyaan ini. Oke, number 1. Apa saja yang diperlukan untuk memberantas korupsi? Read back the text and find the part in the text which answers number 1. Okay. Number 2, tradisi apa yang dimiliki oleh negara-negara yang berprestasi baik dalam pencegahan korupsi? Number 3, apa fungsi dari pengungkapan informasi tentang anggaran or budget? Number 4, jelaskan perbedaan cara pencegahan korupsi di Finlandia dengan yang di Singapura. Okay, read the text again carefully and find the answers to these questions. See you again in my next lesson.